So this panel is about rage on the page and how our panel channel it into their writing, but perhaps not just rage, but emotion such as sorrow, fear, jealousy, love, all the good things. Just introducing our panel. To my left is Zephyr Zhang, who's fresh from a silent meditation retreat where they had no phone access and presumably only their own thoughts for company. Zephyr's a writer and performer whose work explores migrant and queer experiences and is self-described as both neurodivergent and sleepy. You may have seen them on stage in Nathan Joe's fabulous Scenes from a Yellow Peril, or read their work in various publications such as Rapture, an anthology of performance poetry from Aotearoa, New Zealand. And later this year, Zephyr will take part in Auckland Art Gallery's event on being Chinese. Saraid de Silva. Next to Zephyr is a Sri Lankan Pakeha writer and actor and voiceover artist, possibly another tortured mixed racer like myself, possibly not. Saraid played Satan back in the day in a 48-hour film.
How did you find
First
that?
of all, which is available online, let me tell you. Thoroughly worth the click. Also appeared in Generation of Z, the play at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which I saw, and I believe that is actually the last time I ran, 2014. That was something.
You went deep.
I went. Acting credits include Power Rangers as Rina Garcia and Creamery. Oh yeah, it's all coming out. I did my research. But Saraid has an upcoming novel, Amma, which won the inaugural Crystal Arts Trust Prize, yes, also known as the richest writing prize in any university in Aotearoa, 10K, which perhaps went on Telfar bags and low clear suits. Just quietly. Amma is actually on sale, I believe, even though it comes out officially here and in Australia next month, and then in April. Oh. Okay, so you can have pre-orders, right? Oh, that's a fantastic book, which I really enjoyed reading. And as I said to Saraid, I don't say that very often. So her book's coming out here next month, and then the following month in the UK. And she's also scored what sounds like a writing residency straight out of the movie Past Lives in New York.
Oh, yeah.
Just quietly.
I've done that. I did that already. We can talk about it.
Sadly, also writing for Shortland Street. Joking. It's a great way to make a living. I speak from experience. Okay, and finally, we have Samuel Te Kani, Ngāpuhi, straight out of Whangarei, and like many of us, into Sylvia Plath in his teen years.
Or am I giving suicidal ideations? Is that what you're saying?
I did my research. 10 years ago, he sort of fell into sex blogging, and during lockdown supplemented his fantasies featuring public figures such as Britney Spears, John Campbell, and Ashley Bloomfield. A sometime artist, you made a Lady Gaga sculpture with a black demon sitting in a pink coffin filled with dirt, I believe.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, memory from the past. He also wrote a lovely profile of the Whawhawhinge Arts Laureate, Linda Lepo. Last year graduated from double Oscar winner Jane Campion's Film Lab, which was sponsored by the kind people from Netflix. And he's the co-host of the Rats in the Gutter podcast, which somehow seamlessly moves between topics such as compost toilets, vegan cum, and genocide. His debut short story collection, Please Call Me Jesus, features 5 short stories, mostly erotic with fantasy and sci-fi, sometimes thrown in for good measure, and is full of amazing lines like, "Your hole's like butter now."
I don't remember that.
That's funny and wonderful. The first story begins with a closeted gay father feeling guilty about giving his son processed meat to eat, but that turns out to be the very least of his problems. Please welcome Zephyr, Saraid, and Samuel. So I guess the purpose, or the main purpose of this session is to talk about how we put emotion onto the page as writers. But I thought I'd just ask to begin with, for all of you, in this age of Gaza, Trump, the three-headed Taniwha, counterspin, what or who is filling you personally with the most rage right now?
It's got to be the genocide, honestly. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Mm-hmm.
Every single day I wake up and I'm like, why is this still happening?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Saraid?
Yeah, absolutely. Watching tens of thousands of Palestinian people being murdered every day is fucking horrifying, and I feel like my rage about it comes out like a faucet, like if anyone's getting the anger. And I was getting really, really pissed the other day, and I kind of did go on a little rant about it, about how many women I know in relationships with men are doing like a lot of mahi, a lot of work to try and like share resources about Palestine and bring people in, and they're like putting quite a lot of their time into this effort to support the liberation of Palestine, and then like cis-het partners are doing fuck all. They're not at any of the protests. They're not like engaging in any conversations. And it's just a lot of women that I see who I know are in relationships with men who like are not, the pairing is very not even about the like social political awareness, and that really pisses me off. And I've been in relationships with men and had that happen, been like, why are you so apathetic? Why do you not care? How is it so easy for you not to care? So I've been angry at that, which is, yeah, related to what Zephyr said, obviously.
Kia ora. Sam?
I mean, the genocide's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. But I find right now, what's coming to mind is there's like quite a few new parents in my life that I find fucking insufferable. Like, just so insufferable. And I, like, yeah, the genocide's terrible, but I that's sort of like slid over into despair for me, and now I'm just sort of comfortably inhabiting that dissonance of my everyday reality versus like, you know, a constant and ongoing atrocity that's just sort of like over there. That, you know, the worst thing about that, I think, maybe, is that it's not like a rupture with business as usual. If anything, it's, you know, it's just a part of a broader historical sweep of how we've built ourselves up and then partitioned off like Western prosperity. Like, it's, I don't know, whatever. It's new mums, fuck off. Like, that's it. That's all I gotta say.
Well, it's not just new mums or perhaps dads that fuck you off, but I read a quote in one of your interviews sort of related to that. I'm sick of looking at queers on screen in pretty little straight configured coupledom and having to pretend like it's some sort of win. It's fucking boring. Give me hell, please. Which you do in your writing.
Yeah. I think I've sort of like been accused of being like a gentle anti-natalist.
Gentle anti-natalist.
Which is probably accurate, I think, actually. I don't know. But do what you want. Like, whatever. Whatever.
There's anger in all of your work in different ways. Actually, Sam, I'll start with you. Yours seems very, or your writing is very unabashed, and I just wondered, did you ever have to give yourself permission to write as unabashedly as you do, or is that just something you've always had as a personage?
My family culture was very like, there was a lot of anger in our little family unit. And I think, at the time, I used to hate it. You know, we had a really sort of incendiary family dynamic, and I used to find it quite oppressive, and I'd carry it around with me. And then it wasn't until later I had like a couple of close friends, one in particular, who was like, yeah, being around your family growing up really made me feel like expressions of anger are like healthy. I don't necessarily know if she was calling our family dynamic and her being a witness to it healthy, but I think she was sort of saying like, up until she saw it in our family, she didn't realize that you could be angry and go on, like, or something. So I guess my short answer is no. Like, I have never had to, I haven't been in too many situations in my life where I've had to stifle myself.
You're not someone that bites your tongue.
No, I'm gonna die at some point. You know what I mean? So like, why bother? You know, like, why bother? Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. And so, to Saraid and Zephyr, have either of you had to bite your tongue at some stage while you've been writing, or have you always been quite comfortable just saying the thing that you wanted to say?
I feel like I, in contrast to Sam, grew up in like a really repressed household. So whenever like, I don't know, there's something, like my parents would say something that made me really irritated, I just have all this like rage in my head. I'd like think about like boiling water over them or like whatever, like just so much like serial killer vibes. But like,
Okay, cool.
I remember I'd do like these little passive aggressive things, like rearrange like clothes drawers and stuff, or like move books around, because that was like the only way I could express that rage and that kind of like passive aggressive, like I have no control way. So I'll do these like little things that make me feel like I'm in control, but to like kind of release that anger. So yeah, very repressed.
But you've got a line in your poem, Red, I hate my culture, which is quite a full-on line, right?
Ooh.
And is that part of the expressing of the, I want to boil my parents to death, or? Not crazy.
Yeah, I think that, like, I don't actually think that, but there are moments where I'm like, you know, why are my parents like this? Why is my mum like this? And I've been practicing a lot of, like, just accepting the reality as it is, which is why I went on that 10-day meditation retreat. Yeah, I don't know. I think I've got a complex relationship with rage.
Yeah, so well, on that, you've got a wonderful poem about having had a breakup and then channeling that anger of the breakup into playing Grand Theft Auto. Could you talk about that piece a little bit and how?
Yeah. Did you want us to read these pieces?
Please, why don't you?
I've got it prepared. So Grand Theft Auto is a game about like stealing cars and shooting people. And this poem is called Playing Grand Theft Auto After Bumping Into My Ex. I'm running over dogs in Grand Theft Auto 5. I'm running over a stuck-up little dog who always negs me. A two-faced dog with no moral compass. I'm running it over in my Pegasian furnace. Back and forth, the world now a better place. Now I am tasering a cow. A cow who never celebrated my successes. The cow is running away. Come back here, cow. Now it is tasered. Now it is falling sideways. Now it is asleep, buzzing with electricity. Now it is still and can't give me complex trauma. I am also shooting a cat with an assault rifle. The kind of cat that you talk about for 3 years in therapy. The kind of cat that isolates you from all other cats. The cat meets 8 bullets, 10 bullets, but the security camera is pivoting. The security camera is watching me. Now I am running, and now I am running, and now I am driving through the Gran Sonora Desert. I'm driving off of the Los Santos Airport Bridge. When I am Trevor Phillips, nothing can touch me. Pixels cascade as the pigs close in, but I am laughing with my unlimited restarts. My heart no longer wasted.
Thank you. Saraid, your book, which is a multi-generational piece, set here and Sri Lanka, Christchurch, Invercargill, Hamilton. I wondered for you, the book feels very much like a love letter to your grandmother, to me. You're dealing with what I assume is some personal stuff in the book. Was that something that you had to wrestle with, or were you ready when you wrote it to just put it all out on the page?
When you say like dealing with personal stuff in the book, are you thinking about the book as being like autofiction or like autofictive?
Like, is there anything in there that is kind of from life that people would in your life would recognize as being
yeah.
from it, or is it all masked and was it a process to get wherever you got?
Yeah, interesting.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. Yeah, I did anticipate this question with the book quite a lot. I think it will come up quite a lot. Yes, absolutely. There are so many like parts of the book that are parts of me and parts of my life. I realize I'm talking to a room full of people who haven't really read it, so I'll try to be as descriptive but like not give stuff away. This is like my first time writing fiction. I think the way I understand fiction is the way I understand a lot of art, which is that like it's I don't know if I'm going to say this right, but I'll just try. It's like all of it's me and none of it's me. Like it's all like me siphoned through 1,000 other things and like ideas picked up here and thoughts here. Like this bit is completely imaginary, but this particular taste is something that I remember. And then like this person I've never met, but I know what they make me feel. Like it's all true and it's all not true.
It feels like you're saying maybe it's true in terms of the emotion, but not necessarily physically true in terms of...
Well, I mean, some of it is very fucking physically true.
Yeah.
So I don't really know how to... So, like, because of that, because it's hard to put your finger... Even for me, sometimes, it's hard to put my finger on, like, what isn't true. I didn't feel like I was revealing anything, really, about myself.
So when, with the finished product... were you scared of any of your family reading it, or are you happy for them to get in there and...
I was worried for my mum to read it. I really hoped that she would like it and that she would feel like it did us and people like us justice. Like, I felt nervous for my mum to read it. I feel nervous for my community in all the different communities that I'm a part of to read it. Like, that's who I feel like beholden to and like answerable to. So yeah, I'm nervous. Like, I think I'm as nervous for people who I share identities with to read it as I was for my mum to read it, to be honest. Like, yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to share maybe almost my favourite bit of the book. And have you got a reading prepared?
Yeah, I can, yeah.
Well, I hope it's not this one. It's
Okay.
about Hamilton.
It's about what?
Hamilton.
Oh, yeah.
Best description of Hamilton I've ever read. The town centre has the air of a party that just finished. One where everyone cleaned up badly. It does feel like something happened here once, but nobody remembers what it was.
Yeah, that is...
Brava. Love it. And look, I loved all the Christchurch, as a Christchurch boy. Like, where did you actually grow up, Saraid?
Pretty much everywhere that's in the book. So
Invercargill, Christchurch.
Not Invercargill, thank God. So I lived in Hamilton till I was 10. Then I came here for a couple years. Then I moved to Tauranga. Then I moved to Christchurch. And then I moved to Wellington. And then I moved here. So that was all before I was like 18.
As a Christchurch person, I just have to say, you mentioned like Shirley Boys High and Boys High, but you don't actually say where, is it Alice?
Oh, Annie. Yeah, where Annie goes to school.
Yeah, where does she go to school? Just asking for a friend.
I went to Burnside.
Oh,
Yeah.
not so bad.
Yeah, not so bad. Who clicked?
Yeah, who did click? Reveal yourself, caller.
Burnside is actually not so bad.
Yeah.
Just like I had never been somewhere that was white in the way that Christchurch is white before I went there. It's white in a very different way to me to anywhere else. It's like angry white in that low like hum way. It's like simmering white. It's like they're all fermented and like yuck. Like it feels really different. It felt really different to me moving there, meeting people from Christchurch. I felt myself changed by it. Yeah.
Who's from Christchurch in the audience? Brave.
I'm not going to put their hands up now.
Oh, good old Otautahi. Sam, your mum, I read, asked you if you would ever consider writing anything lighter, but you said that would be dishonest.
Yeah, I don't start writing with the intention of like, it might seem like I do this, but I don't consciously chase shock for its own, for the sake of shock. I just naturally gravitate towards subject matter that is like violent, or often sexually violent, esoteric, I suppose, because I'm so pretentious, but which works for me, obviously. I know I obviously said, yeah, it would feel dishonest. It would feel dishonest. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll change, and what I naturally move to write will be lighter. Like, I don't know what Mum means by that either. Like, this is a woman who thinks Midsummer Murders is too macabre, she's a dyed-in-the-wool Nora Ephron loving, Coronation Street watching middle-aged white woman who I love dearly, obviously.
Is there anyone else like you in your family?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Saraid.
Yeah, what do you mean?
No, but are you unique and special and...
Well, I am.
Not like the
I'm
others?
the eldest, obviously, so, I was the firstborn. My sister's pretty cool. She's really angry, actually. This is being recorded, isn't it? Maybe I won't say any more about my sister.
Is this being recorded?
Yeah, we're being recorded, babe.
Cool.
I'll say no.
Okay.
Yeah.
And have you as a writer ever felt, you've never ever gone, oh, I can't do that, I can't say this? Never ever? Never ever?
No.
Fascinating.
No, because if I want to write it, then I feel like it's worth writing about, you know what I mean? Because something has happened in here, so, generally dropping into my body when I'm deciding what to write, something's happened in here that I've made a decision on a conscious or semi-conscious level that this or that thing is worth my time, and it's worth investing in, it's worth externalizing and finding a language to describe, so if the feeling is there, that already, to me, feels like a choice, it's a choice. And I stand by my choices, I love my choices.
Did you want to?
Does that feel generational to you? Like a lack of, do you think that younger writers have less fear around being angry?
Oh, it's not
in some
about
ways?
me, however. I'm so glad you asked that question. I think, I don't know, I think a lot of Pacifica young writers are very scared about offending the community, or family, which, even though there's stuff there to be mined and should be explored, but there's a kind of reticence to go there from many of them.
That
But some
question
of
you
them
just
do
asked me, actually, now this is becoming relevant. No, I don't feel like there's anyone else like me in my family, so I felt quite isolated in my family. I never felt like I had any fealty to them. I don't feel like what I write affects anyone but me, which is obviously insane because people read it, and it does, but I don't feel like I'm representing anyone beyond myself, and I make choices to please myself. And may the cards fall where they may, you know what I mean? That kind of thing, that's my approach.
Well, that's kind of liberating, right? I think other people feel some people feel the weight of the we, as opposed to the comfort and being.
I don't have time for that. I'm going to die. Again, I'm going to die, you know what I mean?
Long time dead, say it.
Yeah.
It is very hard to write with that weight on you, as you're actually working. Not that I write with a pen.
With your quill? You got your quill out?
Taking us back.
But it's so hard to make work in that space. But obviously afterwards that comes up, doesn't it? Yeah.
Sorry, I should have asked you before. Did you have a piece you want to read of anything?
Before you do that, I just also want to say, I feel like the self is socially formed anyway, so I feel like any sort of choice that I make, my sense of self is socially formed, so I am, without even making a conscious choice to do so, am in some way tethering my unique individual experience to a universal shared human experience. That's how being a person works, Yeah. And how you were saying, is your writing personal, is it not? And that you'd been anticipating that question. You basically said the same thing where you're like, it's true and it's not. It's you might be reaching out here and think you're putting fictions together, but those fictions or the choices you are making have the premise of you, You're making those choices for reasons that you might not even be aware of in that moment. And that's all I have to say about that.
Kia ora.
Love that.
Yeah.
Sorry, did you want to read your A bit?
I do want to read something. I actually don't want to read from the book.
No, you don't have. No.
Okay, cool.
had a guts full of it. You've had a guts full.
I'm over her.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I wouldn't say that. It's just very short. I've just written an essay for the second issue of an online magazine, which is part of Satellites, which is an Asian art archive that's been compiled at the moment, and it's like a really amazing project, and I think it's about to be released to the world quite shortly. So I wrote an essay for it, and the essay was meant to be about art making and having a relationship to it over years, and I think that my thoughts around that were interrupted by the genocide that is currently happening to Palestinian people. So I couldn't really write what I intended to write. But at the end of the essay, what I have written is, I keep thinking about what is possible when a person is discounted, what plans we can make when no one is waiting for us to make them, how to build a house or a weapon for someone else, the kind of chain reactions we could spark, the kind of hope we can learn from. Being disgusted with the world ushers in new possibilities for tearing it to pieces. I look forward to seeing the same faces at the protest every weekend, returning, pissed off, anything but hopeless. So I wrote this essay right before 2024 started. So it ends with saying, I see that we are 5 hours away from midnight in 2024. I wonder if a dogged, naive, and childish belief in the future can be the wings that take us to it. So I feel like that essay was really about rage and was really about looking at things and wondering why so little changes and wondering what possibly illegal things we can do to force them to change and to wrestle the power back.
Nice. Yeah. Thank you. Zephyr, is there any piece of poetry or writing or film or play that has filled you with rage and maybe, or not?
I was thinking about this. I actually felt like really rageful after watching the movie Call Me By Your Name, which is a weird take.
Because he didn't wash his hands after using the peach.
Exactly.
Yes, thank you.
No, I think I just came out of that film being like, what fantasy, like rich people land was that? Like so kind of completely out of context. And also like a jealousy, I think. Like being like, I wish I was in northern Italy in the 80s and rich on holiday with nothing to worry about except for a hot man. And I don't know if it's just because everything I watch now and everything I read does have like this critical like lens applied to it now. But yeah, I think when I see things like that, I'm like, oh, the privilege that comes with just like being able to like live and not have to worry about all these other peripheral things. I don't know why I came out of that being like, yeah.
And with something like Call Me By Your Name making you cross, does that inspire you sometime? Not necessarily that film, but something like that. Does it inspire you to write in response to it? Or has anything like that inspired you to write?
I've been thinking a lot about Katy Perry's Katy Perry's first pop album, One of the Boys, and like how it's just so like she has so many good takedowns. It's like you change your mind, like a girl changes clothes.
Hot and Cold is so good.
Yeah,
I love
it's
that
so
song.
good.
Yeah,
You're
it's
not a
real
man.
good.
You're just a
Real
mannequin.
Yeah.
You like you're so gay and you don't even like boys. Like that kind of like rage roasting like just makes such good music, and you just listen to it and you're like just yes, you know. I think things that you do feel angry about are really good things to write about, just because it inspires so much emotion, and then other people feel that as well. Like, the specific really is the universal.
Totally. What about Saraid, Sam? Anything that you've rage watched?
Like a song or?
Anything like film, TV, play.
A film that made me angry.
That made you very cross, and then you had to write something full of hate in your heart?
Movies don't normally make me angry. this is so dumb, but the last film, oh God, it's going to sound like mental illness. The last film that I watched that made me really angry was Oz the Great and Powerful, with James Franco plays like the Wizard of Oz, and he like spoons Mila Kunis, who turns into like the Green Witch. And I don't know what was wrong with me this afternoon, but I watched that film, and for months afterwards, I could feel Mila Kunis's hurt as the spooned woman. I was like, no, she just wanted to be loved. Like, it just made me, you know, and it's a dumb movie. It's a fucking dumb movie. It's like a Sam Raimi, but it's a lesser Sam Raimi, you know? Like, that really got me. But in terms of songs, the one song that I love to listen to that fills me with a sort of, like, exhilarating indignation, and which I'll stomp around with, you know, with it on my headphones, that Smack a Bitch by Rico Nasty. I just love it. It's fantastic. Makes you feel really invincible. And it's obviously about hitting a woman. It's nothing I'd ever actually action, but it's the thought that counts, you know.
Saraid, anything that has made you tetchy watching it and then take your pen to paper?
I can't think of something that made me. I hate Euphoria. It like really makes me mad every time I think about it. It's just so bad.
Is it the American casting, like 30-year-old teenagers?
I'm
like,
used to that.
hell.
I feel like I'm used to that now, but I just think the writing's bad. I think everything. I think it just sucks, and I'm pissed that we fooled ourselves into thinking it doesn't suck when it just does.
So this is a critically acclaimed Emmy-winning.
Because people are stupid. People are fucking stupid, man. They're so stupid.
I mean, I don't think those awards mean that much.
I
think we keep realizing that they don't, right? Or that that's not actually an indicator of quality.
Zendaya can't act. She's just hot. That's it. That's her acting.
I actually do kind of think she can act.
Oh, she does that Vanessa Hudgens squint and calls it acting. That, you know, the dumb bitch, for God. Did you hate Call Me By Your Name because of Timothée Chalamet? Because I also can't stand that cunt. I cannot stand that cunt.
Here we go, rage.
I fucking hate that cunt.
I don't love.
But sorry, you continue. Go on.
Well, I was going to say that's the only thing that really comes to mind when I think about something that annoyed me, but I don't think I was active in response to that. But something which fueled my rage for simply years, honestly, maybe still now, is what Duncan Garner wrote after he went to Kmart. Do you guys remember that?
No, what? Do
Tell
tell.
us. Tell us.
Do tell.
Oh, it was extremely, it was a real, it changed my entire being. Duncan Garner went to Kmart, okay, and am I saying his name? That's who I'm talking about, right?
Who's Duncan Garner again?
He used to be on the AM show. Yeah, he's just an asshole.
Okay.
I don't think you should go and look him up. It doesn't matter.
Is he hot?
Fuck no. He's horrifying. He wrote something about going to Kmart and honestly just being annoyed about the immigrants of color he saw there. Like you can go look it up. It is exactly what I'm saying. He describes the line. It's people just trying to buy things from Kmart.
Yeah, have you never been to a shop, cunt? Like, what
yeah,
the fuck?
No, yeah. And
also, there's that Facebook group, that Kmart Facebook group that does the bargain watches, and you can actually track how many people are in the store if you want to go and it's quiet. My sister loves Kmart, so I know that this Facebook page
know
exists.
that.
Yeah, it's like you can go. We don't need to know about this. Sorry, you can go.
Well, it sounds very useful.
Yeah, it is.
He just described this line as like a snake. He said all these horrible things about the people in the line. He tried to guess the places they came from. I have thought about it so many times, and I wrote so many things kind of in response to it, or it activated something in me. I found it very useful. Hope he dies. He's not contributed anything of use, and I'm horrified that things like that are still getting published. It was a long time ago, but
Also,
things like that are still
an
getting published.
unhot person espousing that kind of vitriol. Where do you get off, you fuggo? Like, what the fuck, man? Like,
First of all, you're ugly.
Yeah. Oh my God. But that's classic. You expect that kind of shit from a 3. You know what I mean? You just expect it.
Anger is an energy, and it can be a great energy for writing on the page. We've talked a lot about hate, but what writers do we love in terms of writers that can evoke strong emotions in each of you and that may have inspired you with your own work?
Sorry, one thing on the hate that I felt about after reading the Duncan Garner piece is that was, the hate is motivated only by my love for those people, for me and people like me who were just trying to buy things from Kmart. So like me being angry at that is only because, like, how dare you? And that's just because of love, right? Like, so it's the same thing in a way.
Intermingled.
Does it make sense? I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Intermingled.
Also, on the vitriol of uglies, those conservative cucks that were outside, what are they called? The Far Side or
Counterpoint.
whatever. Potatoes. Fucking potatoes. Like, I know that guy was wearing that face mask for anonymity's sake, but also public service, you know, like, because I'm sure under it, you know, motherfucker. Sorry, continue.
So the question was, what writers do you love?
Let's have a little bit of love in the room. In terms of writers who may have inspired you, particularly what writers that have been able to express strong emotion like anger or whatnot.
Oh, I was going to say Katy Perry, but...
Valid.
I was just thinking about another movie that made me really angry. I watched Cars recently, and I realized it was like capitalist propaganda, all of it, like Route 66, like reviving like this small town. But anyway, Katy Perry.
Cars is a lesser Pixar, and I remember at the time being annoyed by it because it was their downfall. They had an amazing run of incredible Pixar films, and then fucking Cars. Nothing to do with the film, just, you know, it was the fall. That's not relevant, but, you know.
I read that Bret Easton Ellis was one of your...
I love that guy so much. Yeah.
So you read him as a precocious 12-year-old?
Yeah, I think I was either 12 or 13 when I first read Less Than Zero, and I just stumbled on it, and... he is clearly, or at the time, is clearly a very tortured, half-closeted man, and his rage and self-loathing just sort of, you know, he externalized it, and these horrendous novels, like, they're just vicious and hideous, but then also trick you into, they lure you in, you get seduced because he does really florid, pretty things with language, and they are sexy up to a point, but once you're turned on, then he throws these heinous images at you and makes you feel guilty for being turned on, which I really like that. I think that's something I try to replicate constantly, just because I was obsessed with it as a visceral turn in his prose, and I've never recovered, obviously. Turning rage into like a trap, a spring-loaded trap.
That visceral writing that you appreciate and write yourself, do you see much of it in writing here in Aotearoa?
No.
And how does that make you feel?
Annoyed.
What are you going to do about it?
Oh God. No, never mind. Oh no, okay, yeah. So
Don't bite that tongue.
I am sorry.
Come on, Whangare.
If I hear one more confessional poet, I'm going to kill myself. I know people love it. I know there's an audience for it, and people really appreciate it, and there's even a place for it. But I just love I love prose, really dark, onyx black prose. You know, like, and that's just a taste thing. Does that answer your question?
Was it a slight against all poetry?
No. Maybe. I don't know. No.
Come on, you loved Sylvia Plath when you were 14.
I love Sylvia. I just feel like there's a lot of confessional poetry at the moment that is beige. It's really beige and doesn't even try and do anything sort of exciting in terms of structure. Like, it's journal entries. You know, again, this is just pure taste. And we just seem to love it. And I can't imagine why. And again, there's a place for it. Obviously, people love it. They consume it. But I just think there's too much of it. Oh, and that's all I have to say about it. I'm done with that.
Saraid, any writers or books that were in your periphery when you were writing Amma?
Yeah, definitely everything I read when I was writing it, I'm sure influenced it in some way. I really I'm a really big James Baldwin fan, as a writer and as a person. I think he makes me feel like I read him and I feel like the world isn't going to end in a bad way. He makes me feel very hopeful. I'm trying to think about other books that I loved when I was writing Amma.
Keep thinking, but
Yeah,
on that,
okay.
I did throw all of you that quote from James Baldwin: "A writer is by definition a disturber of the peace." What do we think about that as a definition?
Absolutely. Yeah, completely.
That makes me think about what you said about we are going to die. So what's the point in not making noise or
and even if you
changing
write
things?
something that you get a lot of pushback about, we all obviously eventually will die, but is anyone going to die? You know what I mean? From writing a book that might piss people off? No one's going to fucking die. I mean, there's a goddamn genocide happening right now, That's the issue. If one of us writes, a potentially dicey book, and we feel that it's our truth and we really identify with what we've written, but it still pisses a lot of people off, who gives a shit? It fucking doesn't matter.
I've had to watch my cousin Tusiata Avia deal with pushback for her work from people like the ACT Party and etc. Have any of you had pushback from anything you've written? Have you had the pleasure yet?
Yeah, I called, what did someone call me? Like a fake gay or something? Do you remember that? Somebody started a rumor about me that I was actually straight and that I was just performing being gay for the street cred and for the book sales and, I know. And you know what's worse than the rumor? People believed it. People believed it. I was like, are you deaf, dumb and blind? What's wrong with you? And somebody also called me anti-Ngāpuhi for no reason that I could see.
And what does that mean?
I think it's because I talked about my hometown being a hotbed of having nothing to offer outside of flax and meth. Whatever. Again, no one died. So.
Have you said that in front of a Ngāpuhi audience?
Have I said that in front of? Oh, probably. I don't know. Yeah, there we go.
Aside from James Baldwin, was there anyone that came to mind for you, Saraid?
Well, I started thinking about your other question about pushback on anything I've produced. Johanna and I used to make videos for Renews, and we made one where we asked people what they would do if there were no men in the world for a day, 24 hours, and the Facebook comments on that were something else. And I don't even know if I was still really on Facebook, but it still sort of permeated somehow. Really, really, it was quite horrific, that shit.
What were people saying? Give us a little taster.
I don't know. Lesbians, which is true, kill yourself. I won't. So I don't know, just things of that nature. I think you could probably imagine. People being really angry that we would dare have fun in a world without men. Or that everyone's responses were like, what would I do? Oh, maybe, and people seemed so delighted by the thought. I think that was what annoyed people the most, actually. As for my own writing, not so much, but that's maybe because not that many people have read it. I think.
Yet.
I think that if you're only sort of sharing your work with a few people, then it's. But yeah, we'll see.
I'm conscious we're getting towards the end of our hour. Sam, was there a piece you wanted to read?
I did pick, it's not my work, it was just 2 quotes from a book about rage that I love. Okay, I'll get it. The book's called Rage and Time by this German cultural theorist who I fucking love called Peter Sloterdijk. Oh shit.
A German what-y theorist?
He's just like a cultural theorist, philosopher dude. His name's Peter Sloterdijk. The book's called Rage and Time, and it's so fascinating, and it's sort of about how the idea of an afterlife, or the Christian one in particular, sort of creates a futurism where all of your slights will be avenged in the afterlife, and it means that the rage you collect from all your slights in this life becomes like a currency, and it gathers and appreciates or depreciates and has this weird value that's sort of trafficked inside of Christianity in emotionally exploitative ways. So there's 2 quotes from that book that I love, and here they are. This one: "The divine business of rage rests on the need to expose the power of being able to express rage as forcefully as possible. According to its depth structure, it is ostentatious, only as the show of power, as fame, and as a demonstration of glory can it be kept alive and its authority sustained." And then the other quote that I really like from that same book is that it? "Today we dispense with all ritual and ceremony, for they hinder the exhilarating circulation of information, communication, and capital. All temporal forms that fail to conform to the logic of efficiency are eliminated." So there's like a weird push-pull between like explosive, authentic expressions of rage being actually disruptive, but then towards the end of the book there's this idea that actually rage has been so assimilated into the way we generate and traffic meaning that it's actually just ritualized and so pointless. And like you were just saying, talking about doing illegal things to push back against a status quo, like yeah, that's the idea, because protesting, for example, really important, but at this point a sort of fetish gesture, an absolute ritual that's entirely enclosed within a calculus of
Like if you're,
subtle manipulation.
Yeah, like if you're moving where the police tell you to move, what are you doing? Like, what is the protest doing?
Yeah.
I don't think it's not
The
doing
dog show.
anything. I don't think it's not. I think that it like brings people comfort actually,
Which
and
is
like
valid.
and important, and can make people feel safe. But I agree with this. It's very hard to feel okay. So we do this again, and I'm still going to look at my phone and see another dead baby. So
Yeah.
Ritualized rage.
Yeah.
In our last minutes, what is next? What are your next projects? You're going to be promoting your book, I assume, all over the world, or?
yes, I'm going to Melbourne and doing a launch reading there, and
Cool.
then here in Wellington, and then going to London and doing a launch there. So that'll be
Going to London. I'm so glad you mentioned London, because that's a long haul flight, isn't it?
Yes.
Knowing the best thing to wear when spending 16 hours in a metal box full of COVID and other people's burps is absolutely critical to me. I love that. But it's true, right?
I thought about it a lot. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I actually don't know that I nailed it, but I'll work on it for the next time.
Is this your first long haul since COVID?
No, that was the one. When I went for that residency in New York, that was my first long haul. Well, that trip was my first long haul flight since COVID. Yeah.
And was it like a past lives residency?
No.
No?
It was so much more mental. Like it was like, because it was international writers from everywhere, which was so interesting to have that many people like crammed together for 4 weeks. And okay, one thing, and I know that we're running out of time, and just one thing, is that 2 of the writers were fucking for the whole time, and we didn't find out until like the second to last day. Can you believe they were right above me? She was sneaking him in at night in the back door, and we kept being like, why is the back door open? Like, why is it unlocked? It was because they were
What was she
fucking.
like? Was she like, I don't know, that's crazy. Like, what was she, who did that?
I don't know if I guess we didn't talk to her. Maybe we were
Okay.
talking among ourselves.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Love. Zephyr, you are coming up in later in the year at Auckland Art Gallery with On Being Chinese. And what else for you? Because I forgot to mention you are an ex-geologist, which at this point in time is becoming almost the least interesting thing about you.
Yeah, I'm starting a new job on Monday. I think I'm just focusing on living, honestly, like surviving at the moment. Yeah. And I was just thinking about something. I was talking to a friend recently about whether it was better to be annoying or boring. And we both unanimously decided that it was way worse to be boring. So I'm going to try to be as annoying as possible this year.
Love that for you. And Sam, with your Netflix-funded intensive with Dame Jane Campion, a film is presumably on the cards?
Yeah, we have till October to deliver our high-budget shorts to Netflix, and then we're not contractually obligated to them. Like Jane's made it. She's very overt about we own our properties, we are independent, but they do get a 30-day grace period, like a first look, and then they'll decide if they want to buy them or not. So and if they do buy them, it's kind of like, they'll be like, oh, it's a feature, or it's a series, blah, blah, blah. I know, so, and I go into pre-production in a week. I've got a meeting with my producers in Wellington next weekend, and I've got, oh God, I feel sick.
Sorry.
No, it's good, it's great. And then, and I also just finished like the third or fourth draft of my novel, and Penguin's reading it as we speak, and I have a meeting with them on the same weekend in Wellington, which is super fun and exciting.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Zephyr, Saraid, Sam, thank you so much for sharing with
us. Oh my
us.
God, no, stop!
Oh.
And then also, oh my God, and then I'm doing another book with Penguin for the podcast that I do with my girl Johanna Cosgrove over there. The podcast is called Rats in the Gutter. We're also very excited about that, so that's really
I love
exciting.
that for you both.
Really exciting.
Okay, I'll try that one more time. Zephyr, Saraid, Sam, thank you so much for your time. And signers, thank you for your signing.
Woo! And happy birthday, Saraid. Happy birthday. Woo! Woohoo!